Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Canby Coaster 53,000 subscriber live stream. Per usual, I'll go through the questions, do the best I can to keep up, and just thanks again for the support. So I see a few people in the chat: Coaster Kingdoms, Mason, that weird guy, Vinewood Star. Just if someone could just give me a quick message, let me know you can hear me. That'd be great. I assume you can, because I assume I get a bunch. You can't hear me if that was the case. Um, So it looks Jaden G and AOT. What do you think of Shackalish's laugh track? I'm wasn't a big fan of the overlay. Shaq's laugh got a little obnoxious in the queue. It was cool how he went through his face on the lift hill. But I think my favorite version of laugh track is the Halloween one where it's completely in the dark. Ben Price, can you update your favorite dark rides after last doing it 5 years ago? I'll take a look if enough has changed to warrant redoing that list. Jurassic World Adventure would definitely place highly, but I have to see how much else would have changed. Hello, Dicronius. Jaden, favorite haunted house at Dark Nights at Hershey Park. I like Haunted Coal Mine best. I think it was best the first year they did it, between the like little pre-show thing they did and the amount of actors in there. Ben Price, where do you think you'll go internationally this year? Not sure yet, but I'm sure I'll end up going somewhere. Hello, Crystalic. I am doing well. Dicronius. I'll be visiting Belgium's largest theme parks this May. Any tips for Walibi, Bobby Inland, and Plopsaland? Um, I would say for for Plopsaland, ride the family coasters first. That gets the worst weight in the park. Those get the worst weights in the park by far. Ride of Happiness usually has a manageable weight compared to every other ride in that park. For Bobby Inland, um, yeah, Bobby Inland has a lot of rides with rather low capacities. Um, Consider getting their skip the line pass if it's really bad because you'll get on the rides really quickly with that there. For Walibi, they have a lot of single rider lines that can save a lot of time. Hello, Mason, that weird guy. Uh, Tormenta looks huge. Do you plan on coming this year? I definitely want to get down to Texas. I'm not sure when I'd go because I ideally want to hit Tormenta, Schlitterbahn because I've never been there, and Codaland all in one trip. But it seems like Codaland might not be ready in the summer, which would make it harder to do Schlitterbahn. So I'll have to see what I want to do with that. Hello, DJ Dog. Hello, Messi. Hello, Aldo Dotzi. Hello, Monkey Boy. Hello, Lucy. Brian Basil, where is Dollywood rank for you in overall parks? Do you think you'd move it up with a more reliable lightning rod and night flight expedition? Um, so I would say that lightning rod running versus not running. Definitely like the park better when it's running. But I think I ranked it assuming the ride is open. Um, Night flight expedition should be a really nice addition. I don't think that's going to dramatically shift it up, but I might move from like say if I have it, forget where I have it ranked exactly now. I'll try to pull up my ranking for that. Um, so if I currently have it ranked as like a top 30 park, maybe it might move up to like borderline top 25 ish, somewhere in that ballpark. Um, Hello, Shock Zone. I'm out of touch with theme parks and roller coasters these days. It's been a while. Can you tell me what's going on in the world of amusements? Um, the big players are still adding stuff like Disney and Universal. Universal opened Epic Universe. Um, Saudi Arabia opened the world's tallest, fastest, and longest coaster with Falcon's Flight. And then Six Flags and Cedar Fair merged. I'd say those are probably the biggest things that have happened in the past few years. J Gaming, how do you feel about El Toro? Assuming you mean the one at Great Adventure, I love the first drop and two Camelbacks. The Rolling Thunder Hill is great. The rest of it's solid, especially it was tracking pretty well last year. I know they put more track on this year. I just prefer rides that are more consistently great start to finish. Um, Crystalic, what's your favorite park to be in? Ignoring things like the rides themselves just exist in the park. Um, A lot of those parks have great theming or good answers to that, like Tokyo Disney Sea, Silver Dollar City. They're just a pleasant park to walk around. Lucy, you're visiting Europa Park for the first time this summer, not planning to do Rolantica as not a water park person. How many days would you recommend to see everything? I'd say you want 2 days there. That should give you enough time to do all the rides, see a show or two, and get plenty of re-rides in. Jaden, would you retheme Laugh Track to anything? I mean, I get why they changed it to Shacklicious Gummies to give it a little bit of candy tie-in, but um, I think it's fine for what it is in a boardwalk section. Mason, that weird guy. This man finally revisiting Six Flags Fiesta Texas and going to SeaWorld San Antonio for the first time. If all coasters are open at both parks, I'll get 16 new credits. I think you should have good luck with everything being open that time of year. Ben Price, will you visit Universal Kids Resort? I definitely want to. I'm wondering if they're going to have a rule where adults need to have a kid to get in there, but I'll have to see how they handle that. Hello, VQ Kyle. Coastal Thrills. What is your favorite roller coaster at SeaWorld San Diego? Definitely Manta. I love that layout. Some good airtime for a ride that size. The Fury. What's your thoughts on the Mauer Spike coaster? I've only done the prototype one, and I thought it was a fun ride because you could basically speed yourself up and slow yourself down and get like pseudo launches as you went down the track. Um, it had really bad capacity, which is my biggest problem with the ride. Aldo Daci, now that Time Warp Wonderland's most hated coaster got removed, what do you think will replace it? My dream is for an extreme spinning coaster, but we'll have to see if they do that. Jaden, are you excited for the new thing coming to the boardwalk at Hershey Park? I haven't been following that too closely. Are they announcing like a new water slide or is it a new event? Yeah, let me know. Better story. Have you been on the Galloping Goose at Knott's? Yes, I rode that 2 years ago. It was on a really quiet weekday and they didn't need the big train that day. Bentica, thanks for all the Colorado content recently. Yeah, no problem. I plan to get some more content out there. Like I definitely want to talk about Waterworld. That was probably the highlight of Colorado for me. Um, and then especially with Lakeside testing Cyclone recently, I want to get some Lakeside content out there. But I've been kind of holding off those videos because it's hard for me to talk about Lakeside without Cyclone, which is their signature ride. So I want to wait to see if there was some, how they're going to handle that. Uh, Vinewood Star, if you could bring back a coaster, which coaster would it be? I would say maybe Hypersonic XLC, just because of how I saw that ride when I went to King's Dominion, but I didn't get on it because it had too long of a line. Day one, day two, it broke down. I don't know if broke down. Sorry, word. It never opened. Um, just because I love those pneumatic launches and that top hat looked insane. Brand Basil. Typically for New England airports, I fly out of Logan and TF Green probably 50-50. Mason, that weird guy. When or if Mr. Freeze it over Texas gets removed due to unreliability, what would you like to see go in its place? A Vekoma Super Boomerang, if they had two trains on it, might be a pretty good fit. Just because of how you'd still have the shuttle aspect, but be a more reliable ride. Coaster Boss, do you think Lake Compounds is worth a day trip? I'm almost 4 hours away. Um, yeah, I mean, if you've never been, Boulder Dash is an amazing ride worth checking out. I've done 4 hour day trips, I've done longer day trips before. So, yeah, I'd take a look at it if you've never been there. Jack the Mall and Coaster Fanatic. I'm going to Cedar Point for the first time in June, and I'm going to try to get at least 10 new credits. I'm there for 2 days. What is the best coaster there that is not Steel Vengeance? I would say after my recent trip, I'd say Maverick, but Millennium Force is another amazing one as well, and Siren's Curse is really good as well. Jonathan Fletcher, based on what the CEO of Enchanted Parks has said, do you think those parks are saved, or do you think he's all talk? I think those parks will be invested in, well, at least kept running because, as far as I'm aware, those parks turned profits. So bare minimum, keep maintaining them, and you should at least get some profits out of it. Jaden, favorite movie? I would go with Raiders of the Lost Ark or Infinity War. I love those two movies. Uh, David Zobillo, how do you manage to get to almost every theme park around? So I'm if I one thing to note, if I post like a video of like Alton Towers, like I did yesterday, I haven't been there in 2 years. I have a huge stockpile of videos I'm trying to get caught up on. But I've done a lot of traveling for work, and then if I go on a personal trip, I'll just try to cram a lot of parks in, which is how I'm able to get to so many places. Ben Price, is there an amusement park that you think requires more than 2 full days? So I think it depends upon what your goals are. Like if you want to do every single attraction at, say, the Disneyland Resort, you probably need 3 days between those two parks. Um, I would say Cedar Point, if you don't have fast lane, you very well could need 3 days to do everything, especially with re-rides. Um, I'd say those are the ones that come to mind. Jaden, you're excited for Epic Universe. If you get a chance to go, any tips? Um, Single rider lines there can help. Like I was able to walk on a Ministry of Magic with the single rider line. But also some of the single rider lines can get really long. Like the one for Donkey Kong was always really long. Um, I would say, yeah, that's kind of a tough part to gauge because that part can have really good days and really bad days. Just because if multiple rides go down, it hits everything else in that park, and the lines can get really backed up. Because when I went, I had one day that was one of their busiest days of the year, and the next day was dead, so a lot of stuff was walk-ons. So, um, that park's kind of hit or miss right now. Shem the Grasshopper, hello Canopie. What is your favorite coaster with Dipper in the name? Um, let's see. Let's see. The favorite steel coaster with Dipper would be Luna Park's Big Dipper. Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk's Giant Dipper. I really like that wood coaster. Sorry, I don't know how to say this next name. I suspect it might be Korean based off the question. The new kiddie coaster in Lotte World looks bad. They should have built the family boomerang. So that park didn't have a kiddie coaster, so I get why that's what they chose to build. I personally would prefer a family coaster, something bigger, but it makes sense given how they had that gap in their lineup. Mason, that weird guy. Where do you think Tormento will rank among over Texas's other coasters? I think it has potential to be the best in the park. I think the big thing to consider is if that ride ends up being smooth or not, because unfortunately some of the recent B&Ms have gotten rough. Like Rakshasa and the back edge seats is really brutal. And if it also follows the trend of some of Cedar Fair's I say Cedar Fair, but Six Flags under Cedar Fair's leadership, a lot of their newer rides have had assigned seating, so you might get stuck in a less than desirable seat. Um, so we'll have to see how smoothly that ride tracks, but I suspect it's still like New Texas Giant best because I love airtime so much. But I think Tormenta probably should be 2 or 3 in the park as long as it's smooth. DJ Dog, the Hershey Park thing is 2 splash pads. Okay, yeah, I can't recall if they even had a splash pad there. That maybe they did. I know they had that East Coast Waterworks thing, but yeah, it's good. That's good for them to add just to give more capacity in that water park. And Delhi, how would you disperse your time at the 4 San Diego area parks? I'm probably credit running, but I might have time to spend a half day or more at either Legoland or SeaWorld. If you care about dark rides and like theming, Legoland definitely should be a half day versus just trying to credit run the coasters. I know some people do the shopping pass challenge where you get a shopping pass and you can enter the park for an hour and you have to leave after an hour or you pay full price. It's meant for parents who want to go to the big shop and buy like a Lego set for their kids, but I know a lot of enthusiasts that have done the shopping pass challenge to try and get all 4 credits for as low of a price as possible. But I really like Legoland for the theming and dark rides. SeaWorld, you can do SeaWorld quickly if you only care about the coasters, but if you care about the animal shows, that easily can be a full day park. Ben Price, do you think the Family Kingdom Raptor will be the best RMC Raptor? It could. So it depends how it runs. So Stunt Pilot is probably the worst Raptor for me because it runs slower than the others. Now I've heard it runs faster than when I rode it in 2023 now, but I haven't ridden since then. Skull and Haughty ran really fast, but I still preferred Wonder Woman and Railblazer just because they were extra intense. That being said, the Family Kingdom one has an extra bunny hill at the end, so maybe that makes it a little better. We'll have to see. Coaster Boss, do you think Rhode Island would ever get a coaster again, even if it is at an FEC or sorry, I'm not sure what SMTH is. Um, my guess is there'll probably be some type of like arcade or something that gets one of those SBF spinners eventually. I mean, those things are popping up everywhere. Messy, I did not know that Lakeside was testing Cyclone. Yeah, that just happened a few days ago. A video was shared of it testing. The fact that trains didn't have any modifications to them, and because when I was there last year, it looked like the trains had these wood panels on to try to restrict you from reaching outwards. It was testing without those, so maybe they're gonna be able to reopen it without modifying the trains. Because I mean, it ran fine for 70 years without incidents, so, there's precedent to keep it open and running. Aldo Daci, I'm probably planning to go to Cedar Point this year and ride all their coasters like Steel Vengeance, Millennium Force, Gatekeeper, except for Corkscrew, because I know a lot of people hate that one. I'd still ride Corkscrew because it's historic. As long as you're not super short, you can at least tolerate it, but if you're on the shorter side, you might hit your head on the transitions that one. Messy. I did hear that Waldemir got a shipment from Vekoma. I'm hoping for a big thrilling steel coaster with an inversion. I would not be surprised if they add some type of like family boomerang or family launch coaster, given their clientele. So we'll have to see. Dicronius, most anticipated coaster of 2026. I would go with probably Fast and Furious at Universal Hollywood. That location with those elements and spinning should be an amazing ride. If a park were to build a low budget family coaster, what kind of coaster and brand should they order? Um, so it's a little tough with low budget because I don't know the exact cost of some rides. Like I know Gerstlauers are cheaper than Intamins, but I don't know if that counts as super low budget. Um, Maybe one shot in the dark might be Jinma. I don't know how cheap they are compared to some other manufacturers, but their new rides have pretty good build quality from what I understand. Brand Basil, which city is your favorite out of Vancouver, Seattle, or Portland? So if I'm ignoring the roller coaster aspect, I would go with Seattle just because there's they have good atmosphere around their sporting events, and I like the food in that city, and it's nice how it's on the water. Mason, that weird guy. I'm going to be riding Iron Gwazi and Air Force in 2027. As a pretty small coaster enthusiast, I'm pretty good at getting leg room on coasters. How much room would you recommend in those RMCs that I mentioned? So those are two of the RMCs that offer the most room because the employees of those parks typically don't push down; they only pull up on the restraints. So as long as your restraint shows up as green on the screen, usually they'll let you ride it wherever you want it to be. I mean, RMC recommends you get as close to your in contact with your thighs. I'd come close to that, but I know some people push the envelope with those rides. Bentica, what park and ride are you most excited to ride or visit this year? Sora just mentioned it, but I'm really looking forward to the Fast and Furious coaster. Jaden, since Hershey Park is celebrating anniversary for 25850 for America, do you think Laugh Track will have an overlay of some sort? If anything, it might keep the Shackalicious one, just because again that has a candy tie-in, so it makes sense why they went that way. Bren Basil, how far off is Thunderhead from your top 100? So typically, I rank wood and steel coasters separately. I only put it together in the top 100 for the list on YouTube. I will say that Thunderhead has never been in consideration for one of the lower spots on that list. Just for reference, Thunderhead's in my top 40 wood coasters, and on my top 100 list, I believe only like the top 25 wood coasters have made it in the past. So Thunderhead is quite a bit off. Without knowing off the top of my head, maybe it's in the ballpark of like top. Um, my guess is it probably would show up somewhere in the ballpark of top 200 versus top 100. Um, Ben Price, how much money would it take to bribe you to rewrite a bad SLC? So I'll give a different answer. The correct answer is the park needs to put new trains on it. Because if you put those vest restraints even on an SLC that tracks poorly, Most of them become good rides. Well, decent rides. Mason, that weird guy. Most overrated RMC in your opinion? Hmm. Maybe Wicked Cyclone. I really like the ride, but I know some people rank it as a top tier RMC. I don't have it that high. I have it in the lower half of RMC's coasters, but still a very good ride. I'm glad to have it at my home park. Coaster Boss. I've been to Mount Washington, have not hiked it, but I've been past it. Dicronius. If Crazy Bats closes at Phantasialand, what coaster type would you want to see in that plot? Would I really want to see most of that park? I know this is sort of a different interpretation of the question. I want to see a high budget themed dark ride because that park does theming so well. Crystallic, what is your favorite place you've been to other than theme parks? There are so many cool places in Japan. I also just love San Francisco. Again, nice city on the water, a lot of nice buildings, good atmosphere. Jaden, where are your cats? Somewhere behind that door. They like to mess with wires, so I'm trying to keep them from crashing the stream. Maybe I'll let them come in with a cameo at the end. But they also could be sleeping in the heated bed downstairs because they love that thing. Coaster Boss, do you think Kumba would eventually be removed or would it be refurbished? So I think the question is if Kumba is still a big draw for that park. Um, my guess is eventually that ride will probably be removed instead of being fully retracked. I think they'd probably find it more beneficial to build an all new ride than to just retrack it, but we'll have to see what they choose to do. Jaden, I prefer roller coasters over water slides. Stephen Boshiers, your review of Predator was right after the first stretch of Titan track was installed. Has it gone up or down your rankings with the additional Titan track? I have not ridden it since the additional Titan track, so I can't say if it's moved up, but I doubt it would have moved down. Mason, that weird guy, how is the airtime on Steel Eel in your opinion? Do you prefer it in the front or back? I like it better in the back for the being pulled down the drops. You get a ton of floater airtime on that ride, and it kind of hurts when you land on the seat because of how far you lift out your seat, especially in that third drop. Messy, will you ride either Galactic Coaster or the Legoland parks this year? I definitely want to. Zach Curtis, do you think Funtown will ever get a new coaster or any ride with inversions? I think they will eventually, just not sure if it will be a flat ride instead of a coaster. Dicronius, do you believe that Six Flags only started to allow meta glasses because there was basically nothing you could do? So my thought with that would be, at least I know at Cedar Point, ride attendants were having to stop to look at people's glasses to see if they had cameras in them, and the ride attendants, their main focus should be on safety. And if they have to take time after checking someone's restraint to physically look at their glasses to see if there's a little micro camera in it, that's taking away from their ability to look at the safety aspects of it. Like, is their seatbelt fastened? Is their lap bar down? Do they have a strap on the glasses to prevent it falling off? So I think it just makes it easier for the operators and they can actually focus on what is truly safe. Alan Trotter, how much time do you recommend Alton Towers and Port Aventura in terms of days needed? So Alton Towers, 2 days, absolutely. Between the sheer size of that park, um, the fact they typically have short hours, and the fact you might see crowds, you definitely want 2 days there. Um, for Port Aventura, you can do everything in 1 day, especially if you get the express pass. If you don't want express pass, definitely get 2 days there, just because again that place can get pretty busy. Ben Price, last year for April Fools, you did the top 10 SPF spinning coasters. This year, do top 15 kiddie coasters. Um, Not sure what I'm gonna do for April Fools. I mean that video I made last year is very serious. Spin Dakar is the best SPF spinner, and I don't take that back. Coaster Boss. I will make a Magnum and Corkscrew review eventually. I just don't have as much of my own footage of those rides, just because of how I focus on getting footage of other rides when that's Cedar Point. There's a lot of rides to get footage of there. Easy honest. Easy and honest. Will you be visiting that historic ride museum that'll be celebrating their 100th anniversary? What attraction would you like to see add to their lineup? Um, are you referring to Knoebels? Okay, so yeah, Knoebels, this is our 100th anniversary. Um, I'll probably end up going to Knoebels this year. Usually go down to the area for work. And I'll go to Knoebels as long as they're open. Um, and as for what I'd like to see at that park, um, I'd say maybe I'd like to see a launch coaster. I just don't know how it would fit in that lineup. But they do a good job refurbishing old attractions. So, maybe I'll say Leap the Dips moves there because at least I know Knoebels will take good care of it and the ride would have a good future. Mason, that weird guy. Yeah, Tormenta looks massive. Jaden, would you prefer VR on any of Hershey Park's roller coasters? Honestly, no. I'm not a big fan of VR on coasters. Hurts the capacity, and I just prefer the natural visuals of the ride. Paul, did you see the two videos of these people sneaking into and exploring Six Flags America? I've seen the thumbnails of them on YouTube. I haven't opened those videos though. I'm not surprised people have done it, but I don't recommend doing that because it's illegal. John Pelosi, when will Stardust Racers reopen? I saw a picture of it testing the other day. I think it was on the Universal subreddit. Hopefully, it opens soon because that's an amazing ride. Jaden, how do you compare Laugh Track to Guardians of the Galaxy? I much prefer Guardians of the Galaxy. Better theming, longer ride, more unique ride, and better forces. Pea Shooter Gaming. What is your opinion on Lake Compounds' Wildcat? So that ride has gotten significantly better the past 2 years. Before that, it was arguably one of the worst wood coasters in the world. But now it's a solid ride. And the parts Gravity Group retract and reprofiled have some decent airtime to them. It's not a world class ride by any means, but it's a comfortable ride now, which it had not been for decades. And it'll run 2 trains in, 2026, unlike it has in past years. Sorry, I lost my spot. Mason, that weird guy. What is a coaster you loved the first time and hated the next time, and a coaster you hated the first time and loved the next time? Um, maybe some of the I'm trying to think of some stuff I wrote as a kid where my opinion changed wildly. Um, One I know I hated the first time and liked the second time would be Predator at Darien Lake. First time I rode it, I sat in a wheel seat and it was really rough. I returned years later. I avoided a wheel seat and they had some Titan track and it was actually a good ride at that point. Um, Pea Shooter Gaming. Where would be a good fit for Railblazer once CGA closes? Um, I mean, if they want to keep it close, you can move it to Discovery Kingdom, assuming you can tear that down. I've heard because of the weld design, it might be a little tricky to move that one, but we'll have to see. Ben Price, try again and fire in the hole in the Family Kingdom Raptor and then rank all the RMCs. Yeah, I'll have to. I know I made a all RMC ranked video recently, and it wouldn't have changed too much just with the addition of. Well, actually, I did highlight Haku guy. Pretty much look at my top 100 coasters, and you pretty much have the RMC ranking video. And Delhi. I do not think Six Flags New England is at risk of being sold out just because of how they're such the considered the leading theme park in New England. That even if they weren't to add anything major in a long time, they'd still get crowds and then still be considered the top theme park in the region. Um, so yeah, they get solid attendance, so I think they'll stick in the chain. Ben Price, have you ever noticed that Universal Orlando's dueling coasters are cursed? Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully Stardust can rebound after a rough first year. Brand Basil, would you still have Stardust Racers above Lightning Rod in your rankings if it's still at the launch? So I have not ridden Lightning Rod since it lost the launch, so I'm still ranking it based off the launch. What I will say is, thinking back to my first few rides on Lightning Rod, it did run a little faster because I remember the wave turn and the twist and shout having ejector air time my first few rides times I rode it. But my most recent rides it was floater. Still, a lot of fun getting sideways floater air time. Still an amazing ride, but um, I do think it ran a little faster the first few times I rode it before they changed the track. Where does Boulder Dash rank in your top wooden coasters? I have it in the top 5. Aldo Daci, I think with the track work investor strength flight deck is getting, it could potentially be a good ride. Yeah, just changing those trains is gonna make the ride decent at minimum, because removing the headbang makes that whole seas actually enjoyable. Mason, that weird guy. Do you think Judge Roy's Scream will eventually get a good retrack? I love Judge Roy. It's my first non-kitty coaster, but I definitely would like to see it get retracked from a manufacturer like GCI. Um, I don't know how rough it is right now because I haven't ridden it in a few years, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did some track work to it eventually. I just hope they keep the lower height restriction on it, just because it's nice how kids can ride that one so early. Pea Shooter Gaming, what do you think the next coaster lake compounds would be? My guess would be a family coaster because they don't have anything with a like sub 48-inch height requirement outside of the kiddie coaster. I know they always want a spinning coaster. They have new owners now, so it very well could change what they add. But like a spinning coaster would be a nice addition for them. John Pelosi, are you going to any Red Sox games this summer? I'd like to. I don't always go just because of the prices. I've also gone to Woo Sox games because if you haven't been to Polar Park, it's actually a really nice stadium. Ben Price, would you say that Zaire is the sequel to Schwarzkopf the same way SNS is the sequel to Arrow? I'm just gonna say no because we haven't seen Zaire build like a giant looping coaster that Schwarzkopf was known for. I do like Zaire's newest coasters though. Zach Curtis, would you recommend Canopy Lake Park or Lake Compounds for a visit with a 10 and a 14-year-old? If they are huge coaster fans, I would say Lake Compounds because of Boulder Dash and Phobia are wilder and better than anything at Canopy. Um, Canopy is more balanced and has a larger quantity of rides, but both parks have a nice charm to them. Have are um, beautiful at the lake, so you both offer nice experiences. But I'd say Lake Compounds again if coasters are your top priority. Slim Fury, going to Japan in June. How finicky are businesses over there with American credit cards? So you should not have a problem using your credit card in person there. The issue is buying stuff online on Japanese websites. A lot of them will not accept American credit cards. So I had to use like Trip.com or Klook for a lot of online purchases. The Fury 325. Did you ever do Nighthawk Carowinds? And if so, would you ever put out a review for it? Um, I don't think I plan to make a review for that ride, simply being because I've reviewed, I believe, Batwing, or I may have reviewed all of Vekoma Flying Dutchman at once. I'm trying to see what I put up there. Um, because Batwing was a very similar experience, just with a rougher finale. Sorry, Nightwing was a similar experience, just with a rougher finale. Um, yeah, so I have a review of Batwing at Six Flags America. Pretty similar to my thoughts on Nighthawk. Mason, that weird guy. I'm oh crud, lost my spot. I'm fearing soon that Shockwave at Over Texas will get the Mindbender treatment. Yeah, I suspect that could happen eventually because Shockwave's getting up there, and considering how forceful that ride is, it probably has, you know, taken a beating on the track. I hope it doesn't get toned down, but I have a bad feeling it may if they, reduce the trains and whatnot. Jaden, are your cats kittens or grown up cats? I think they're technically grown up now. They're 3 years old, but they still behave like kittens. Pea Shooter Gaming. If Lakemont never reopens, do you think Skyliner will get moved or closed for good? Unfortunately, I think that one probably would close for good. Just because it's an older ride and I don't think it's in the best of shape. Hello, Josh. Hello, Josh Stutchberry. New England Coasters favorite band. Um, this is probably an enthusiast answer. I'll say I'm a score because I enjoy the work they've done. Um, Typically, I associate songs with good experiences, so having good experiences at theme parks, hence why I like a lot of those songs. Jaden, I'm excited to ride the Haunted Mansion at Knobles because I've never been there. Yeah, their Haunted Mansion's a really nice classic one. Paul, crazy how Quantum will not be open at opening day at Six Flags New England. It was testing pretty consistently towards the end of last year. Where'd they post that wouldn't be ready for opening day? Last I heard, they just couldn't comment on when it was gonna open for sure. Um, I mean, this one's a little hard to guess because I know typically Six Flags New England would shoot for Memorial Day for opening new stuff. But in the past, the ride may not have been fully ready at that point, whereas Quantum, from my understanding, is ready to go. I hope it's ready for opening day, but we'll have to wait and see. Ben Price, what Mattel Adventure Park needs to do is open with Bone Shaker, the family coaster, so they can start making money and deal with Twin Mill Racer and try to get the stupid billboard removed. So my guess is money's not the problem, considering they're able, build pretty much a full park, and they're trying to build more parks. I think the issue is I just don't know if they're having a problem with permitting or why that billboard has not come down. Dicronius. I still believe Stardust will duel when it reopens. I'm guessing the issue right now wasn't caused by the fact it dueled or not. Paul Cameron, I prefer Stardust over Velocicoaster. Jaden, I've not seen the Cheetos prank. Bren Basil, fastest mile you've ever run. Um, I know in the treadmill I ran a ridiculously fast mile at some point. I think I ran like a 5.5 minute mile. Um, but that was like a one time thing. That's not what my typical mile usually is. Ben Price, what I liked about Disneyland Splash Mountain were the scenes before the final lift hill that were unique to Disneyland's version. I still think Tokyo is the best Splash Mountain between the ride system and the order of the scenes. And Delhi, do you think you'll ever travel every park in your to-do list? I'll say no, just because there's always going to be new parks out there, or um, stuff. Parks are going to open new rides I want to go back and revisit. So inevitably, there are going to be some parks I haven't been to, and as I cross more parks off, there are going to be other ones I still want to get to. Mason, that weird guy. I don't think the 42-inch height requirement will come back to Judge Roy and Runaway Mine Train. They are currently at 48-inch height requirements. Okay, so they already bumped him up. Sorry, I didn't realize they had done that. Dicronius, best and worst food you ate at a theme park. For best food, there's a few different options. Like I love homemade soft pretzels at parks that do those. So um, places like Kentucky Kingdom have really good pretzels. In terms of full meals, like I love the Knott's Berry Farm Chicken Restaurant. Um, Disneyland has a lot of good food. In terms of worst food, that's easy. I got something called the Crazy Burger Slugharan. It was nasty. It was black buns. It tasted burnt, and yeah, that thing did not go down well. The other one that comes to mind is at Universal Studios Japan. They had I forget what it's called, but basically they served me like an omelet with pastas and pasta sauce on it. It tasted okay, but that thing did not agree with me. So I was doing Terminator for the last time because it had closed at the other locations. Terminator, if you remember, has that kind of long pre-show, and I'm in that pre-show and realize Snoopy's meal was gonna be coming out soon, so I had to leave the pre-show in an emergency to get to a restroom. Barely made it, but I ended up missing Terminator because they closed it by the time I got back to it for the end of the day. So that was unfortunate, but probably made the right decision. Um, Jaden, would you put the Shack laugh track in your top 10 spinning coasters? I would not. Doesn't move fast enough. The Connexpert. Do you find Decepticoaster rougher than Hulk? I think I found Decepticoaster a little smoother, but both are fine to me. John Pelosi, do you think Pantherian will be more reliable this season? I will say yes, because it would be hard to be less reliable than last season. That being said, it had a really rough opening weekend from what I heard. Mason, that weird guy. Yeah, it is crazy that Shockwave still has the 42-inch height requirement, though, considering they bumped like Runaway Mine Train up to 48. Ben Price, at each New England park, I would add an Intamin Hot Racer to Six Flags, an RMC Raptor to Canobie and Funtown, a Vekoma Suspended Family Coaster at Lake Compounds to Storyland. I like the additions for Storyland and Lake Compounds. I feel like the hot racer might be a better fit at Canopy because I've heard rumors they tried to work with Intamin in the past, and that ride type and height would work well with their height restriction. I'd love a Raptor at Funtown. I think that's the type of park those rides are meant for. So we'll have to see what happens. Mason, that weird guy. It's awesome how kids only have to be 48 inches to do Tormenta. Yeah, that's awesome because I know a lot of the older dive coasters are much higher height restrictions. Jaden, have you ever run a 5K? Um, Technically, no. But I've run a longer race. In Salem, Mass on Halloween, they do something called I think it's called the Devil's Chase or the Devil's Race. It's a 6.66 mile run, so I've done that one. Kunashi, thoughts on or Kunashai, thoughts on Thunderation and Silver Dollar City closing. I am not surprised given how that ride has gotten a little rough. I believe they've had some structural issues with it, and it's older. And so I think it's at the point rather than you retrack it or build something new. And I think that rather just build something new versus retracking that ride. Easy and honest. Have done your oh crud, lost my spot. Have done your top 10 favorite US theme or amusement parks on YouTube. I made a video a few years ago about my favorite amusement parks, so wasn't broken down just by the US, but there are a lot of US parks on the list. The Connexpert, does Disney or Universal do dark rides better? Depends what the budget on each ride is. Both are capable of making a top tier dark ride. Look at Rise of the Resistance at Disney and Jurassic World Adventure at Universal. Both are capable of making some really bad dark rides if they have low budget. Look at Fast and Furious Supercharged or like the Grand Fiesta Tour at Epcot. Just depends upon what budget they're given. Single rider C. What do you do for work that lets you travel all the time? So I'm an engineer. I have a few different reasons I can travel. I can travel to other company sites. I can travel for conferences. I can go visit suppliers. Um, yeah, and the other thing you can do is say you need to be somewhere for work for Tuesday through Thursday. You can hypothetically leave on like a Sunday, so that your flight's covered. You know, you pay for your own hotel because you went out earlier, but you can get a few days to go to parks, do your work trip, and then hit some parks at the end, and they'll cover the flight for you. Because basically, I'll do the traveling on my own time. So, like, they assume you'll take like a full day for travel. I will instead travel. Say I'll take like a red eye flight on like a Friday night, so that way I'm there. I'm there for Tuesday, but I'm because I took some time to travel on my own. I can do some other stuff on the side. Ben Price, my main issue with Disneyland's Pirates is the fact that both drops are at the beginning and the larger drop is first. I will say I do like how Disneyland Paris's Pirates has the drop towards the end because it makes it for a nice finale. And Delhi, is it worth taking a 3 hour train to Plopsaland, Belgium, even if you only get to spend 2 to 3 hours there? If you've never been, yeah. I mean, Ride to Happiness alone is worth it, in my opinion. Mason, that weird guy. I think Tormenta will be smooth due to the wider track gauge. It could provide a smoother experience. The only reason I'm a little cautious about that is I know some people said the dive coasters might be an issue because you have the wider train on the track, but you have Penguin Trek, which is a smaller coaster that doesn't have crazy forces, and that ride still shook more than the older B&Ms. I found the ride tolerable, but I can't deny it wasn't glass smooth. So it doesn't seem to be an issue just because of the different track gauges. Ethan August, what do you think will happen at Daring Lake and Frontier City? I would suspect those parks eventually get sold. Bentica, have you ever considered making your own roller coasters, be it Connects or No Limits 2? I've done like Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 or Planet Coaster. Probably wouldn't be making physical coasters though. Cyclone Hunter, what are the odds Quantum Accelerator is open for Six Flags New England's opening day? I would say 50% chance opening day, if not, probably by Memorial Day. Brand Basil, do you think the track work done at El Toro can move it up closer to your top 50? I don't think so, just because my thoughts on the ride are pretty similar. About the reason I don't have it higher is because not every element is consistently great, and that's not going to change with the track work. And actually, Cyclone Hunter, one thing I just thought of with Six Flags New England's opening day that can impact Quantum Accelerator and why they might not be guaranteeing that ride is ready. So, at least last year, they were trying to wait until it was 50 degrees to open Superman. And, that's an Intamin. I don't know what the minimum operating temperature is going to be for Quantum Accelerator, but Six Flags New England has had some really cold opening days in the past. Like, I believe it was last year or 2 years ago, Superman was not able to open on opening day because it was too cold. And it didn't open until like the last 2 hours of the second day of the season. Um, my guess is they might be trying to cover themselves and take a look what the weather is in the long term forecast because, like, just for example, if the park's gonna be opening in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, just looking at the weather right now, well, if we're looking if we're looking like, uh, here's a 30-day forecast for Agawam. I'm just curious what the weather might be. Um, it looks like it's slide to be in like the low 50s, but if you look out a week from now, um, there's a few days where it's in the 40s. They might be want to confirm the weather's good before they can guarantee that ride is open, because it'd be probably not the best look if they say the ride's open and then you show up and it's closed for weather. Especially because they want to make sure they can do like the media shoot, and do all those things. Ooh, lost my spot. Single rider, should I hit Untamed or Yankee Cannonball first? I would say Cannonball just because it tends to have the worst weight of the two. Jaden, would you ever get another cat, maybe a boy Himalayan, to go along with the two you already have? I would not be opposed to adding more, adding more cats. I love the two we have. David's Billow, LMAO for Terminator. If you're talking about favorite film, like I love Terminator. I'm not sure if that's around something else. Dicronius, do you believe we'll see a Vekoma Top Gun in Europe or America in the near future? I wouldn't be surprised if one of those made it to a smaller park. Ben Price, I think B&M is the manufacturer of the best looking coaster track. So you can make fun of them all you want. I kind of like what Skyline did with their Kid Flash coasters lighting the track up. That looked really cool. I know those rides didn't exactly have the best longevity, but those things looked cool. Mason, that weird guy. I'm revisiting Frontier City this summer, even though I already have the credit. I hope Diamondback is open. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame whenever you show up at that park and Diamondback is closed, but that seems to be pretty typical, unfortunately. Kunashai, favorite Disney ride you've ever ridden? I'll go with Rise of Resistance as my favorite dark ride. Just incredibly immersive, beautiful set pieces, and it has a little thrills mixed in. Jaden, right now I don't plan to get a dog. I'm not home enough if I go into work. Like for example, today for work, I was went in the office and I was gone like 7 a.m. until like 6 p.m. So like I don't want to leave a dog alone for 11 hours. Mason, that weird guy. After Tormento, what would you like to see at Six Flags Over Texas? I'd love to see a Vekoma family launch coaster. I would say a family coaster would be important, especially if they've raised the height limits on Judge Roy Scream and Runaway Mine Train. Ben Price, can you post the month and year of the POVs and ride footage? So there is a field when I upload videos saying when the footage was shot. Are you not able to see that? Because I don't know how YouTube uses that field. But like when I upload POV, I'll put in if I wrote it on like, you know, June 5th, 2025, or whatever it might have been. Messy, how much time of your day at a theme park is spent filming? So there is no set answer to that. It depends upon many things. It depends upon how long I'm at the park for. It depends if I've been there. It depends if I think I'll be back there. It also depends if you can get good footage from the queue line. So I'm not, so at least I can get footage while I'm waiting in line. Um, so I will say what I like to do at some of the smaller parks is I like to just make a lap at some point, like maybe for like a half hour to an hour, just to go get like shots from the midway of all the major rides in the park. If I haven't been able to just slowly build them through the day. Um, but yeah, that question kind of depends upon the park and how the day is going. Single rider. What is a major park or coaster you have not been to in Europe, America, or Japan? There's quite a few I haven't been to in Japan. Like I haven't been to Greenland, Rusutsu Resort, Nasu Highland. Those are places I want to get to because they have some unique coasters there. Ben Price. I don't know if I'll be on the world's longest flight from New York to Singapore just because it's kind of hard for me to get down to New York and deal with the parking situation for the airport. So probably I'll be, for long flights using Boston and Providence to connect somewhere. And Delhi. I never played a musical instrument. I tried to play the trumpet when I was younger. I couldn't do the I don't know what it's called, like that lip thing you need to do to play the trumpet. Couldn't do it, so I wasn't able to. Jaden, which swinging ship do you prefer, the inverting one or the swinging one? So I'm gonna cheat with this. I'm gonna say the standing one. Last year in Belgium, I rode a stand-up swinging ship, and that thing was nuts. Standing in a cage, you were getting floater airtime atop the max swings, and you can also jump in the cage to accentuate the airtime. That thing was crazy, and I get why it doesn't exist in the US. Ethan August, do you think Alpine Fury is better than Stardust? I do not. Crud, lost my spot. Coasters for life. Would you rather never have to pay to eat food at a restaurant or never have to pay to get into a theme park? Um, I'd probably say never pay to eat food at a restaurant just because of how um that would probably save more money in the long run. Uh, sorry, I lost my spot again. Mason, that weird guy. Want to know something crazy about the 218-foot Illumina Tormenta? It towers. If you stand next to the fence to see the full thing, you have to tilt your neck all the way up. I mean, I'm not surprised because, like, if you think of a hypercoaster, you often have to tilt your head up to see that. So, check out for an inversion that big. Tom Katom 000. Brazil is getting like 5 new coasters in the next 2 years. And Montezuma, Titan Track, any plans for a South American trip? Cheers from Brazil. So I will say that Intamin launch coaster going to Beto Carrero World looks really cool. Um, I definitely want to ride that eventually. I just don't know when I'd make it down there. Coasters for life. What is the language you can speak the best apart from English? Can you say a few words in that language now? Hablo un poco de español. I can read Spanish better than I can say it. I just can't like think of what I need to say fast enough in English to translate to Spanish to say it and keep up in a conversation. But I can read Spanish pretty well, so that helps if I go like to Mexico City or like Spain if I'm not in a big touristy area. Single rider. When do you plan to go to Qiddiya? I was always gonna wait for that place. I want to just see how it works long term. Just because I was curious how rides would hold up in that environment. And there isn't a precedent for a big park like that running in Saudi Arabia. That being said, with what's going on now, my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone impacted over in that region. Um, I just want people to be safe and peaceful, which kind of hard to do with right now with what's going on over there. Coasters for life. What is your number one bucket list wooden coaster in Asia and Europe? Um, so I would say in Asia, probably Wood Coaster at Night Valley. Just that ride always intrigued me with the setting on the hill. That being said, I know that ride's been SB&O for a long time, and I would not be surprised if it's rough at this point. Um, in terms of my number one bucket list wood coaster in Europe, I have ridden a lot of the big ones. Try to think what the most notable one I'm missing over there is. It might be like Wild Buffalo at Mer de Sable, but I might be forgetting one. But I'm looking forward to that one that's coming next year to Magic Land now. Goated. What is the best ride you've ever ridden in your life? I'm gonna go with Stardust Racers just because I absolutely love the dueling aspect, lots of ejector air time, and just a great all around experience. Kunashai. How much longer do you think in Vertigo at Kings Island has left? So I honestly thought that ride would be closed by now, but I heard they replaced the chain lift or something, so it suggests it has a little more life in it. Um, yeah, I still think that ride won't last longer than 5 years, though. Coasters for life. Do you think you'd be good at vlogging at theme parks? It's not something I have any interest in doing. I always find it kind of awkward, like speaking directly in the camera when people are watching you. Not to mention, I'd rather take time to compose my thoughts versus just instinctively giving it right there. And I want to be able to focus on my time at the park versus giving my thoughts for a video that's going to be posted, way down the road. I'd rather, enjoy the park as is, get some footage, and then figure out how to use it after my visit. Oh, David Zabilla. Sorry, I forgot about that Terminator story with T2. Sorry, Jaden. Laugh tracks layout. Could you recreate that in a game? Yeah, I mean you can make that SC 2000 spinning coaster pretty easily, especially from the ones that are outdoors. Aldo Daci, I think the best solution for Coast Rider instead of shin guards is they could put little doors on the trains to help with the incident that happened. Yeah, that'd be a much more preferable solution for me. Those shin guards are nasty. Single rider, Singapore's Mummy is really good from what I can remember. I believe that's a clone of Florida's, and if it's the same as that ride, that's a very good ride. Dicronius, Vietnam is close to zero coverage among coaster enthusiasts. Are you considering going there in the future? Yeah, they have some parks that I'd like to visit eventually. I don't have a trip booked there or anything, but I'd like to get there someday. Uh, Coasters for life. Rank these from best to worst. Visiting theme parks alone, visiting with friends, visiting with family, and visiting with a coaster enthusiast you've never met before. I'd say prioritizing with friends and family first. Yeah, those are definitely the two I'd put in the front. Hello, Coaster Seeker. Bentica, do you get airtime kicks besides coasters? Um, Maybe like jumping off like a diving board, but I don't do anything too crazy with like skiing or snowboarding just because I realized early on the way I'd instinctively want to land if I wipe out would lead to me probably breaking my wrist. So don't really do either of those things. Coaster Seeker, do you like Journey to Atlantis' SeaWorld San Antonio? It's okay. I mean, they have a better water ride in Catapult Falls, and even Rio Bravo is probably better. So it's kind of a forgettable ride for me there. Single rider, I went to Port Aventura 2 weeks ago, and Red Forest, Furious Baco, Dragon Con, and one side of Stampede were closed. Yeah, that park's operations can be a little spotty on quieter days. Um, but yeah, it's really unfortunate all that stuff was closed. Coasters for life. Have you ever considered counting some ghost train rides as credits if they have a big drop in them? I already do as long as they're gravity powered and it's clear. Like there is one on the fair circuit I don't see many people count. I think it's called Mousetrap at I think it's North American Midway. It's the one that comes to the Biggie, and that one feels like a coaster to me. Coaster Seeker, number one bucket list Intamin Blitz. Um, does So it depends what counts as a blitz because I know I've heard some people call Falcon's Flight a blitz, but I don't know if to me that seems like its own separate thing. Um, I'm guessing I am guessing Fast and Furious Supercharged probably doesn't count as a blitz either, but that one will be up there too. Um, yeah, I'm trying to look which ones I haven't been on. Um, oh, there's a new one opening in China. Apparently, there's some place called Moku Spear. Never heard of that place. Um, I'll say Dueling Dragons just because that one looks so unique with the invert and the sit down side by side. Um, Coasters for life. Would you rather there be world peace or you have 10,000 credits? Definitely world peace. I mean, that's more important than coasters. Grame 4. What coaster do you think will win your New England Madness? My guess would be one of the steel coasters from Six Flags New England. Um, I suspect Wicked Cyclone will win, but we'll have to see. Jaden, does your cat meow at you for attention all the time? Yes, when they want to play or get fed. I have not been on a coaster called Dark Dipper. Ben Price, I'm able to find every Disney and Universal theme park in Google Earth from memory. Yeah, those parks are in pretty memorable spots, so that's pretty easy for me to do as well. Coaster Seeker 15, when are you riding Barracuda Strike? The next time I go to Texas, just don't know for sure when that will be. Kunashi, favorite intimate accelerator? Formula Rosa, that one's kind of cheating because of how long it is, but it's easily the best one between the length and the crazy launch at the start. So I am at the hour mark. My voice is starting to go. I'm probably gonna wrap this up. I'll hit the final few questions, but I'm probably gonna drop off shortly. But before I go, just thanks again for the support. Continue to make videos. Continue to do this when I hit a milestone. Um, yeah, I see some other stuff. Um, Yeah, like, for example, Fiesta Texas looks like they'll have a pretty cool coaster next year. I'm intrigued to see how big it is or if it's more of a family ride, but, I'm hoping it's a big thrill coaster, but my hunch is it's something like Big Bear Mountain. Coasters for Life, I have seen the theme park GeoGuessr tournament. I've done theme park GeoGuessr just on my own, and I think I do pretty good at it. It helps I've been to a lot of the parks, but yeah, that game's really fun. Um Dicronius, you should try Flash Coaster Aqua Show. Yeah, I definitely want to get on that ride eventually. Seems like it's a little bit of an isolated park, which is the only reason I haven't. Well, one of the reasons I haven't been there yet. Um, Broadway Blue Shore is 2 days, plenty of time to do everything. Epic, yeah, that's definitely enough time to do everything, even if you have like crazy busy days. Coaster Kingdoms, I would suspect with the merger of her, not merger, acquisition by Hershen, Kennywood probably won't get a new coaster for at least maybe 4 or 5 years. We'll have to see. But again, thanks everyone for the support. Sorry, gotta go. My voice is going. Have a good night. If there's anything I didn't get to that you really want answered, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll do my best to get to it. Until next time, just thanks again for the support, and I'll see you guys another time. Bye.